So we're here to talk about what today? Lead generation, right? Fair enough? Okay, the more participation, the better, right? So we're here to talk about lead generation, and yet Megan brought up she's reading 30 minutes a day. Instead of asking the question, what's the work I have to do to be a $20 million agent or a $50 million agent? Ask the question, who do I need to become? Who do I need to become that is a $50 million agent or a $20 million agent or a $5 million agent? And reading helps you to become. And I'm going to be very deeply personal here. Some of you know our story, some of you don't. When we lost my daughter back in 2018, it occurred to me weeks after that event that I hadn't been reading for the last 20 years to sell more houses, to, make more money. All of that happened along the way. I had been reading for the last 20 years to become a better human being and to be there for my family when that moment came. Does that make sense? So I'm going to coach you just for a second, okay? So reading 30 minutes a day isn't to get through the book list that I keep like, have you read this? Have you read this? Have you read this? Reading 30 minutes a day is about you becoming a better human being so that you're the kind of person that is a $20 million producer, that is a $50 million producer. Any thoughts on that?
Yes.
So cool. Anybody else that's been doing anything from their commitment last week? Anybody want to brag? Why do we have training at Keller Williams? What is Gary's definition of training?
I don't know what his definition is, but for me, there's always something to learn. Always ways. Things are always changing.
Yes.
If you stay still.
The purpose of training is to change behavior. Susanna's right. There is always something to learn. Yet I don't want you coming here week after week and not putting into practice what you're learning. Because if your behavior is not changing, what's going to change about your business? Nothing. So Kristen's Lead Gen Lab from last week is online. It's on the YouTube station. Look up, you can just search hashtag KW Olathe and you will find the list. Go back and watch it. It's worth an hour of your time. Now, since Kristen, you're on here, right? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. I'm gonna snap back for a second. She said, Lengquist will always tell you to lead generate 5 days a week. I'm kidding with you, Kristen, here. And the answer is lead generate as big as your dream is. Lead generate as big as your dream is. If you have a 1 day a week lead generation dream, then that's fine. And again, to be a $50 million producer, a $20 million producer, can we all agree that we might have to grow into something that we're not yet? So all of that is possible. I read a quote by Doug Gottlieb this morning. Anybody know who Doug Gottlieb is? A basketball player. They got beat last night in his debut game as a head basketball coach. And he said, if people aren't laughing at you, your dream's not big enough. People aren't laughing at you, your dream's not big enough. But first of all, you have to be brave enough to state your dream to be laughed at. Because if you don't believe your dream, who's going to believe it? By the way, how much money is about $20 million in sales? Stick around for the economic model at 10 o'clock. Okay, it's written. So 650, okay. That would be gross. And then you got expenses, and we're going to break all that down. Folks, your dream is just a decision away, I promise you. A little bit of mindset to start this. Gary Keller, page 100 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. One of the first questions I ask when consulting one-on-one with someone who wants to earn more is, do you have enough leads that if you close them properly, you'd be reaching your goals? Think about that question for a second. Answer it for yourself silently. Do you have enough leads that if you close them properly, you'd be reaching your goals? If they answer yes, then it would seem they have a conversion problem. If they answer no, I tell them to put everything else on hold and go get more leads. Wonder what he means by the word everything else. Right? Like, so put everything else on hold. What do most agents do rather than put everything else on hold and master lead generation? What do most agents do? They master giving out their credit card number to lead generation companies. They're looking for the easy button. How much do you guys think a surgeon in Kansas City makes per year? Couple $100,000? I'd say probably 400,000 or 500,000. I'd say about 400 or 500. Do you think that there are challenges and things that they don't want to do along the way to get to a $400,000 to $500,000 a year income? What might be the challenge for real estate agents to get to a $400,000 or $500,000 income? Lead gen. Hey, nobody dies if we do it wrong. That's the good news. Right? Are there agents in this office making $400,000 or $500,000 a year? Yes. Why not you? Or why not $1 million if that is you? So one of the first questions I ask when consulting, Chris, you're reading it again. Yes, I know. When consulting one-on-one with someone who wants to earn more, do you have enough leads that if you close them properly, you reach their goals? Everybody write down on a piece of paper right now the size of your database. Maddie, do you have a database yet? Everybody, does everybody know who Maddie is? Stand up, Maddie. Come here. Can I call you to come up here? Come on. She said no. Sorry, yeah, we're gonna do it anyway. Maddie, you've been a real estate agent for how long? 2 weeks. Okay, congratulations. Everybody welcome Maddie. This is good, all right? So congratulations. What's your dream?
I don't know, to help people.
To help people? Okay, fantastic. It's okay that you don't know right now. Today is gonna help you identify all that. Do you have a database yet?
Yes.
Okay, how big is your database, do you think?
Like contacts in my command thing
Yep.
is like 105 right now.
105. Everybody give her a round of applause. You've been an agent for a week?
About 2, almost.
About 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm sorry I didn't give you enough credit. So 2 weeks, 105. So everybody give her a round of applause. Thank you for coming up and talking. Folks, the size of your database is going to determine the size of your income. It's no more complicated than that. The size of your database is going to determine the size of your income. We're going to talk about some math that goes into that, but have you written down the size of your database yet? Okay, write it down. Here's what I want you to do next. Whatever the size of your database is, and you're going to have to get your phones out on this because I know how agents love math. Today's math day, by the way. Thank you for being brave and coming in on math day. Write the size of your database down and multiply that times 0.06. Times 0.06. Here's why we're doing that. We know that based on the average length of time people are staying in their homes, which is darn close to 10 years, right? In the last 5 years, it's darn close to 10 years per homeowner. It used to be like 6 years. And then as the boomers have gotten older and as the economy has changed and the expenses have changed, it's closer to 10 years now. So if you figure that out, that's about 64% homeownership rate, okay? A 64% homeownership rate, then we know it's about 6% of your database is going to buy or sell a home in the next 12 months. So after you come up with that number, your size of your database times 0.06, I want you to multiply that times 0.5. That's the amount of appointments your database is begging you to have this year. Because of the 6% in your database that will buy or sell a home this year, that doesn't mean they're going to use you. Or it doesn't mean they're going to call you or let you come over and do your listing appointment or your buyer's consultation. But what it does mean is that you have a shot to have a conversation with them, and you should be getting a minimum of 50% of those. Now, we're not done doing our math yet, but right now, let's go back to the question that Gary asked. Do you have enough leads that if you close them properly, you'd be reaching your goals? Okay. Any ahas right now?
I don't have enough leads.
Don't have enough.
I have enough contacts.
You don't have enough people in your database to reach your goals at this point. Okay, we're gonna change that a little bit here in just a second. Anybody else have an aha?
I think my numbers are,
Think your numbers off?
yeah.
Okay,
So
so
I have
do you feel like walking through that? Because you're probably not the only one thinking that. Okay,
So-
how many people are in your database?
I say about 30.
Got 30 people in your database?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's probably not a number that's gonna really show really
Oh, I
well.
see.
Okay, but you're a young guy, you've been licensed for a week now?
Well,
About a week, okay. The number one job for you as a new agent, and you as a new agent, and you as an older agent, and you as an older agent, and you as a newer agent, and you as an older, is to add people to your database. That is your job, your first month in real estate, is just come to every class possible and build your database.
So teasing it out, I have 316 people in my database.
Okay, so let's, can we do that math?
Times 0.06, 18.96.
316 times 0.06 is 19.
Yeah, and then that times, that should be 9.5 appointments a year, right?
Yeah, so 9 or 10 appointments a year in your database
With these numbers.
with those numbers.
And 50% of that is 4.3.
No, so 6% of, it's 19, is that what we're coming up with?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so then it's 50% of that,
Okay,
yeah.
so that means that according to the math, I should have 9 to 10 appointments per year.
You should have 9 or 10 appointments a year for a buyer consult.
How
or
many of
so.
those average do people close?
That's what we're gonna talk about in a few minutes. You're rushing me. Because we're not done with this yet though, okay? Here's what we're gonna do, the same thing, except we're gonna talk about referrals. About 4% of your database should be willing to give you a referral. We're gonna use this 316 number again, if that's okay, you put it out there, all right? So now what's 316 times 0.04? By the way, these numbers are why we're in command. Austin, Texas is tracking closings on all this kind of fun stuff. So, but anyway,
12.6.
okay, so we're gonna say 13, and then we're gonna multiply that by half again. And we're gonna come up with 6.56. So if we take the lower number here and the higher number here, you have approximately 16 appointments just waiting for you in the next 12 months. 16 appointments just waiting. You got 36? Okay. Is that enough to hit your goals?
Yeah.
Okay.
How big is your database?
Well, I mean, that's at combining the two. I just purged mine and got rid of this up 881 currently this morning.
881, okay, good. Let me tell a story real quick here. We're talking about your database here. Some of you have really big databases, so big that when you see a name, you don't even know who it is. Like, that could be problematic, right? So here's what I would say. We had a agent here years ago when I was team leader, and she came in and she said, I've got a database of 2,800 people and I'm still not hitting my goals. I said, 2,800 people? She said, yes, you're still not hitting your goals. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to narrow that database to 1,000 by Monday. It was Thursday afternoon or something like that. So she goes, you want me to do what? I said, you don't have to delete them, like run your spreadsheet, put them off over to the side. But for her, she had all these names and she couldn't really tell me anything about them. It was just noise. So what we did is she came back in on Monday. She goes, okay, I got it to 1,000. I said, great, I'll get it to 500. She goes, 500? So she got it to 500. And I said, who are the top 100? And in short, she doubled her closed units for the next year. Because she started engaging with the database. 2,800 names in a database and you can't tell me anything about them. It's just 2,800 names in a database. It's okay if you have a separate database for a farm, like this is a geographical farm, or this is a sphere of influence farm, or an affinity farm. Like I had a farm of potential real estate investors, but they weren't in my database until we had a conversation. Follow me on that? We'll talk more about that. So let's go here. So now you've got 16 appointments. We know that you should be converting 75% of those. You should be able to convert 75% of those into, I'm sorry, 70%, I apologize. I jumped ahead. 70% of those should turn into buyer agency contracts or listing contracts. What is 70% of 16? 11, okay. That's how many should, now, this is a controversial number for some people. 70% conversion. Agents tell me all the time with great pride, Chris, you don't understand. I can convert 99 out of 100. I'm converting 97 out of 100. I'm converting 95 out of 100. What is that really saying?
You're not setting up appointments.
And you're staying in your safe zone, which is okay. If you've built your business to the point where you're referral only and you can reach your goals because you have enough leads, that's where we all want to get, right? I can name agents right now that I can tell you are very, very happy converting 95, 98% of their appointments. And because it's building their lifestyle. I am not going to push them in any way, shape, or form if they're truly living their best life. So if that's you, I'm not talking to you, but I am talking to most of us. If you're not around 70%, if you're a little bit above 70%, you're probably out there doing some colder calls, some colder appointments. Heather, you might be going to a friend of a friend of a friend, but they don't really know you, but somebody kind of told them about it and you just talk your way into at least doing the appointment. 70% is the number. If you're way higher, you're probably staying in your safe zone. If you're lower, you probably have to work on what? Sorry? Your database? Thank you for that answer. It's not where I was going, but thank you. Anybody else?
I would say your presentation.
Presentation. So your skills. Your skills. If you're below 70% on your buyer's agencies contracts, getting those signed, what's a Keller Williams prescription for you to get above 70%? Script practice. Yeah, specifically shift tactic number 9. Yes, buyer conversations. All right, Suzanne's laughing because she knows I was rubbing it, But there's also some other skills like bold. By the way, this office is gonna sign up for bold in either January or April. Anybody got a favorite?
January.
January? Anybody else?
Say January, it's gonna be what?
Hopefully January bold to get April's business, I'm just saying.
Yeah, here's my only concern. Well, enough people sign up for us. We have to have 50. We'd have to have 50 between us and Lawrence. So if I get 50 people saying they want to do it, let's do it, okay? This office.
Kristen is fine enough, she's.
January.
On there, she's.
Yeah.
Kristen says January?
She's
Okay.
signing up, so.
Carl was a January guy. So anyway,
There's Sherry sitting right there, we could ask her.
Sherry tells me what to do if she gets the chance.
We want January.
January? Are you guys committed to January?
Yeah.
All right,
What day of the week it's gonna
I'll
be
check.
on.
I do not know what day of the week it's gonna be on. I could negotiate that with Scott Timms. So anyway, let's go back to this. If you're below 70, start working on your skills. And by the way, if you don't know your conversion ratios or you don't know the skills, that's what this office is here to help you do. That's what the Lawrence office is there to help you do, okay? So 70% equals 11, and then you should be selling a minimum of 75% of those on the market. So what's 75% of 11? 8. We'll call it 8. Somewhere around there. Any ahas around this? If you're not selling 75%, you're probably overpricing them. You're probably taking on sellers that don't want to be, or buyers that don't want to buy. Again, skills. If you're above 75%, you're either really good at your skills or the market is red hot or both. But is the market as red hot as it was 18 months ago? No, we have been swiftly moving back into a skills-based market. And I'm sorry, breathe through this next comment. My name is Chris Lengquist and I'm here to help you. If you've been an agent for less than 6 years, you don't know what a skills-based market is. Or it's a different set of skills that are no longer necessarily applicable. You better get good at your conversations around pricing and negotiating. Now, will that all change and go back to the way it was if interest rates go down, if the presidential election makes the markets happy, if Israel and everybody else don't get into a bigger, wider war? Like it could be, we go back to 2 years ago, but we just don't know, do we? So do you want to wait till then or do you want to start building your skills now? Just a quick question. All right. So if you get down here and you're at 8, and let's just say the average commission in Olathe is about $350,000 sales. We're at 3%. So that ends up being about, let's just say $10,000. So 8 times 10 is how much? $80,000. Does that help you live your best life? If it does, Luke, you got enough to live your best life. You should probably just get really, really tight with these 316 people. Really set up your plan here.
But that's not what you net. That's gross.
That's not what you would net, no. Economic model, we're gonna talk about that. Okay? So, but if that's where we're going, that's where we're going. So what are your ahas or thinking or pushback so far? Is there anything I need to see in the chat, by the way? Just let me know if there is. Okay.
I don't have enough people in my database.
You don't have enough people in your database. Okay. All right, anybody else? Raise your hand, even online. Hit that little hand button. I just love those emojis. I'm a grown man who likes emojis. So raise your hand if you fall into the category and are willing to say so, that I just need more leads. Okay. Most of the room. Okay. Online refuses to participate, making me separate.
Someone also said the other day that like just keep racking your brain.
Yeah.
Like part of your lead gen time every day is rack your brain. Because every day I think of like 3 or 4 people that I forgot about. Like, oh, they need to go on my database. Let me send them a text.
I have 1,077 people just in this thing. Now there's probably 300 of them. I don't know who they are anymore, but 1,077 just in this thing. Right? Need more contacts. Exactly. So here's what's fun. If you look at this, what if you started getting really tight with these 316? And if we're going to work 50 weeks a year times 5 days a week, that's 250 people, right? If we take those 250 work days, if we meet 2 people a day, that's 500 people we could add to our database. Is 500 bigger than 316? Okay, so is it safe to say that we would probably add another 9 and all of a sudden be at 17? Now we're at $170,000 GCI. And if you're keeping somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50% of that, 60% of that, I can show you how it's probably closer to 60 or 70 as a single agent. By the way, can a single agent sell 17 homes?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. You don't need a team for 17 homes. Please, you'll make my head hurt. All right, maybe a transaction coordinator, but you don't need all the other kind of fun stuff. So what's the work, guys? It's a trick question, by the way. What's the work? Legion?
Connecting with people, right? Meeting with people, talking to people.
I love that. Thank you, Susanna. And I think, so Susanna said if you couldn't hear her, connecting with people, meeting people. And I'm going to say there's pre-work to that. And it goes back to the conversation we started with, which is what? Who do I need to become to be a person that has 816 people in their database? Who do I need to become to have 800? Who do I need to become to say there is no way on earth I am going home. I'm sorry, I'm going back to my early days. When I started my real estate business in Tulsa, Oklahoma, I had lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma for 4.5 months. I didn't know anybody except the realtor, the 2 neighbors, my wife, and Jake. That was it. And a couple people at church. I just decided, because my broker taught me this way back in 2002, just add 2 people a day to your database. I would not go home until I had 2 people a day in my database. Did they all work out? No. No. And when I came to Kansas City, I had not been here in 18 years. I moved back to Kansas City in 2004, August 12th, 2004 is when we closed on our house. We came back to Kansas City. I'd been gone for 18 years. How many people do you think I knew? About 8, and they already owned a home. All right. So 2 people a day. But by this time I had read this book and I knew now to put them on an 8x8. I put them on a touch program. If you go back and you watch that thing that Kristen did last week, she's got all sorts of really cool ways on how to stay in contact with people and meet people. And then we've got a pop by workshop next Thursday or something along that line. Man, you should register for that. Because if you're going to get really close to these people and start winning some of these people, that could be your ticket. Now, is it? I don't know. I'm not a pop by guy. I'm just not. Not everything we talk about, you have to do. You have to figure out who you are and what you want to be. And that's why we read 30 minutes a day. That's why we come to these classes. And that's why we go out and we take something that we learn and we fail with it. But I was a guy that decided, Gary said years ago, he said, be the economist of choice. So that's how I lead generated. Like, what are some things the economist of choice would talk about?
Interest rates.
Interest rates. Oh, absolutely. Do you think
People always expect us to know that stuff too.
Yeah.
they do?
And they expect us to know, hey, what did that house sell for, you know? Yeah, like we're just like, it's like, yeah, I don't know.
No, it's fun. And when they ask you those questions, that's a touch.
Yeah.
And if I get back to them, it's a touch. Todd, what are interest rates today?
Depends.
It depends on the news tonight, right? But yeah, so everybody, hey, Todd, come up here and introduce yourself real fast and so this is Todd with Interland Home Control.
Yes.
Introduce yourself, and you live in Iowa right now.
I do. I live in West Des Moines, Iowa, with my wife, Nicole, my 3-year-old son, Archie, and 2-year-old daughter, Avery.
Okay, you're busy.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
okay.
we are.
So we're gonna have our own person here in the office eventually here. I'm interviewing for that too, but I'm still, team leader's still a priority. So we're talking to team leaders. But what are interest rates today like? Do you think?
So government rates, like FHA, are at 6.25. Conventional rates are at 7. First-time home buyer rates that have 80% or less of income are at 6. Investment properties are at 7.5 to 8, depending on down payment, that kind of stuff. So really, when you say interest rates, anywhere from 6 to 8%, depending on the situation.
Yeah, and so what's the lowest credit you're seeing getting loans right now?
Again, depends. I mean, we can get, approvals on 580 credit on FHA
580?
with enough of a down payment.
Probably shouldn't be buying a house anyway.
If you have enough down, then
Yeah,
yes, but
okay.
yeah, we get approval. Yeah, we can get manual underwrites on
Okay.
pretty low.
So if I was going to contact my database today, and I would do that by emails, newsletters, and blogs, what's the news I should share about interest rates or the forecast of interest rates?
Ride the roller coaster this week.
Ride the roller coaster. That could be the title of the blog post. I'm serious.
How do elections affect interest rates?
It's kind of crazy. I mean, again, volatility, right? Like, I think when Trump got elected in 2016, the 10-year treasury went up 1% the next day, which is an insane increase, right? But again, it's just based off, the unexpected nature of it, right? Like, bonds don't like uncertainty. So this will be an extremely volatile week with the election, plus the Fed meets on Wednesday. They're going to probably drop rates 25 basis points. But when we say volatility, that means it could be 7 today, 7.5 tomorrow, back to 7 by Friday, and then 6, 7. Like, it's just trying to predict it is going to make you go insane. And And, you know, the long-term prediction is fairly safe to say that, you know, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, we're gonna see lower rates, but right now it's.
We've been hearing that for a year.
Right, exactly. And I've been saying, yeah, right, and I've been saying that too. So you're kind of in a spot where like the rates just kind of are what they are now, right? And it's, yeah, hopefully we'll get some volatility. The nice part is like, you know, if you buy now at 7% and you're on a fixed rate, you're never gonna be at 8 or 9, right? But if rates do drop to 5 or 6, you can always refinance, and that's super cheap. We can make it lenders can make it very cheap to do that. But yeah, as far as like a rate discussion, I stay away. I'm sure Jim stays away from like.
Hey, I've got a contract. Should I lock in today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think if you're okay with the rate today, absolutely. Just more so based off the uncertainty that could come down the road, right? Like you could always refinance, you know, if rates drop 30 days from now or 60 days from now, you want to refinance, you can take advantage of that. But if you don't lock today and rates go to 8%, then, you know, you may not qualify. You may not.
All right, give him a hand. Take your time. So. Okay, you guys are agents. And you guys are going to do something this week to lead generate. How would you take what he said? If you want to be an economist of choice, how would you take what he said and talk to your public? This is real world.
Maybe like a newsletter.
A newsletter, but what would you say in the newsletter?
Beat the rate, marry the house.
Date the rate, marry the house.
I would go to ChatGPT and tell him to
Chat GPT, okay.
solidify that. He said, just kind of talking about the rates in a nutshell.
Okay,
So you kind of know what to say.
I like that. You could start there, then you could, don't just copy and paste it.
No,
You know, put
no,
it in Stephanie's words.
right.
Yeah, love that. Anything else?
You could go on social media and talk. I mean, people are talking about this constantly. So you could go on your page and.
Folks, are we in charge of the economy? Are we in charge of inventory? Are we in charge of what price a house is? We are simply interpreters of the market. These are touch points with these folks. I don't ever tell people exactly what's going to happen with interest rates because I don't know. But I keep them informed. Those are touch points. And I have built a fairly big tribe letting people know what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And in almost any time I'm discussing economic news, somewhere in either my words or in my writing, you will see the words, while my crystal ball works about as well as yours does, i.e. disclaimer. Because if I had a really good crystal ball, I would already know who the NCAA champion is going to be this year, and I would know whether to watch the rest of the Kansas games.
It's gonna be KU.
Yeah. So I'm going to watch the Kansas games anyway. And so take the news or whatever your reason for being to your 500, 316, 105, whatever it is, can you do this? And by the way, how do you do this? So be careful whatever we say here, because for the next 10 minutes, we're going to have a discussion about adding 2 a day. And you're going to be making your commitment for next week. Make sense? Okay. So what are some ways to add 2 people a day? BISBOs. Okay, so Susanna, expand on that for me.
Calling homeowners who are currently trying to sell their home for sale by owner and making connections with them and following up with them. Putting them on a plan to continue to reach out to them and help them.
Okay, to get 2 FISBOs a day to be added to your database, do you think you'd have to talk to 3, 4, 5, 9, 2? What do you think the number would be?
Well, no, I mean, I think each of those that you talk to, you could, yes, if you talk to 5 a day, depends on how many new businesses are
Sure.
popping up in your circle.
Would you be willing to talk to at least 3 a day to get 2? Okay. So you can make that part of your plan. What are some other ways we could add 2 a day?
I think 2 ways for me. One of them is social media post, real estate related. Look at everyone who likes it. Are they all in your database? These are people that already know you and they've liked content you posted about real estate. So put them in your database. Second way is your neighbors, property data lookup on your neighbors that you already know. That's for me. I've added several people.
There you go. There's a way. Can you do 2 of those a day?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Online, you're allowed to talk or type, one of the 2. The collective room in Lawrence has to have an idea. That's a lot of ladies in Lawrence. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So
That number is 3 to 1.
3 to 1 discussion. So what else can you do to add 2 a day?
Coffee shops.
Coffee shops.
Or
Yeah, just don't be a hermit. The bar. Hey, listen, I've signed, I don't know if this is actually true anymore, but there was a time in my life when I sold far more houses in a bar than I ever did in an office. I would just meet people at a pub afterwards and we would just have a beer and I'd write up the contracts. I always had folders full of contracts. A much more fun way to do business, by the way. Right? Here's something you could do. You could, what do we see online? Vendors, networking, open house, interest groups. Absolutely. I could take 1,033 people, start going through them letter by letter every day and find 2 people that I'm like, huh, what, huh? And then call them and say, how do we know each other? Or, remember how we know each other and put them in my database if they're not cross-referenced. I bet you easily I could do 10 between now and next week. Heather, you were gonna say something?
I've got the same. I have more phone contacts and Facebook friends than I do in my command.
Okay. How many of you eat? Well, come on, some of you are not even participating now, all right? How many of you? I stopped buying it's still a habit, by the way. But when I was an active agent, I stopped buying groceries for more than 24 hours. I wanted to go to the grocery store every freaking day. Because I would look for what I thought was somebody that I could have a conversation with in line. And then I would get in the longest line or whatever. I would get in line and I would try to start up a conversation.
What would you say?
I would just simply say, hey man, it looks like you're gonna have tacos for dinner tonight. Something along those lines. Or I would look at the rags. I would say, can you believe they found another alien in New Mexico? Or whatever it was, I would throw stuff out. I would say about 40 to 50% of the time I would get a reaction.
So how do you go from that to getting their information?
That's a great question, Stephanie. But let me ask you this. What do you do for a living?
Real estate.
You do real estate? Okay. No, but they would always tell me what they do for a living. But after I ask you what you do for a living, what do you always ask me?
Ask you what you do.
I'm in real estate. Why I get to walk around the grocery store at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Why do you ask? I would do that. Why do you ask? They don't even remember why they ask. Why do you ask?
Since you asked me what I would do.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, hey, listen, one of the things I do is I provide people information about the houses in their neighborhood. Would you be interested in receiving a newsletter about that? So you can spy on your neighbors as what they're actually getting for their houses versus what they're telling you. You'd be shocked at how many people will say yes. You'd be shocked.
Hey, Chris, one of the ways that I've gotten some conversations is just wearing your name badge. People see that you're in real estate and they'll start talking to you. You don't even necessarily have to start the conversation.
Makes it easier to.
There you go.
I bring my backpack, which has Keller Williams on it, to soccer. The amount of families, even families leaving from their practice going out, oh, are you in real estate? Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
What are you interested in?
Why do you ask?
Yep.
Why do you ask?
Kristen has.
I'm not sure if this is where I push back and say I'm going to work on getting more raving fans, A+ in my database versus just adding to my database. Well, that's a great comment. Again, go back to the opening question. Do you have enough leads that if you close them properly, you'd be reaching your goals? If you have 316 people and this is going to work for you, I would go immediately to what Kristen is saying. If it's not, if whatever your math works out to be, and it's not going to be, well, you've got to add to it. So it's a both. It's a both. This is an and conversation, not an or conversation. So I'm glad you said that, Kristen, but this is an and conversation, not an or conversation. I'm gonna have to add to my database and I'm gonna have to get really close with these folks here. I'm gonna work on and find out who are the people that's my closest sphere. If you want to know how to do that part, there's a great book called Tribes by Seth Godin. Tribes by Seth Godin. He just basically talks about every one of you has a tribe of people that are waiting and willing to follow you. They don't even know you exist. It's a fantastic book. And so, yes, once you start getting that database up there where it starts indicating that you can hit your goals through your database, but you're still not getting the leads, dig in there. I would still be open to doing this for at least a little while, but I would dig in on finding out who your raving fans are going to be. The weird thing is they're probably going to be people just kind of like you. Engineers used to love me because I would write about math all the time and I would show how the math worked. Engineers would sit at home and just get giggly and put together spreadsheets, and they would always want to show me their spreadsheets. I go over and I talk to them, show you the spreadsheet I came up with. You could use my spreadsheet if you want to. I must have had 100 spreadsheets given to me. But I still like paper and a pencil. Why? Because then I could show them the math in real time and they could see it happening rather than just plugging in numbers in one. But that was just a personal preference. That was my tribe. What's your tribe? What's the tribe you're looking to build? How are you letting people know that they should join your tribe? And that's where we just got to build our database to the point it gets us to where we go, and then build the raving fans inside there. And by the way, take care of the raving fans. And I can't remember the exact page, so that'll make some of you happy, right? But the lead generation model, I know exactly what it says, but I just want to find and give you a reference. It's on page 141. When we're talking about lead generation, it's in the lead generation model, page 141. It talks about how to run your database. Treat the referral source better than the referral. Treat the referral source better than the referral. You want to build raving fans? I don't really care if Kristen's referral she gave me buys or sells. I'm going to treat Kristen really, really good because if she's done it once, will she do it again? If I take care of her and I take care of her referrals, absolutely. You guys get a lot of referrals, Kristen, do you not?
Yes, we're 84% referral based.
Okay, so would you agree with that statement? Treat the referral source better than the referral?
Yes, without a doubt.
Anything you want to expand on there?
Nope.
Okay. Short and sweet.